Good afternoon and good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the online session of BESTIVAL, the Business Best Practice Festival of the MICE event and tourism industry. It's such a shame that you can't really be here today because we've got our live event and we'll give you the best impression we can of what's going on the floor below us. We'll also have a few interview guests today here in the studio. So, just a few words about me. So, why am I here? My name is Annie. I'm your online host for today, and actually, I'm a DJ. So, I live in Berlin. I'm a full-time DJ. But how did I join Visit Berlin? So, basically, I joined their roadshow recently. So, they did a Plan B roadshow across 4 different cities in Germany, advertising Berlin as the fabulous event location. And they were interested in my Plan B story, in my personal Plan B, because I wasn't always a DJ. A while ago, well, 15 years ago, to be fair, I was living in Berlin as an investment banker. So there was a bit of a story in between, and so I'm a speaker today as well on one of the stages. I'm not going to tell you all my story now, because today we have a different focus. So let me tell you some more about the live event. So we've got 3 stages today, with a lot of speakers, panel discussions, workshops, and live bands, and obviously a lot of opportunity for networking. One of our main focuses today is sustainability. So the whole event has been planned with sustainability as a focus. And in fact, this venue here, Motorwerk Berlin, is a partner of the Sustainable Meetings Berlin, which is the initiative of the Visit Berlin Convention Office. So the event is sustainable on many levels today, but just to pick out a couple, which I found quite nice, is, for example, the catering is sustainable, and we'll give away our leftovers via the app Too Good To Go. And the emissions today will also be tracked and recorded. All right, for the safety of everyone involved, today we have a 2G event, which only makes sense to German speakers. So 2G means that all of the guests have to be recovered or vaccinated. And very important, I'd like to make you aware of our chat function today. So you can ask questions in the chat. Someone here will monitor the questions, and if it fits and if we have enough time, which definitely is today the most difficult resource, but if we have time, we'll try to answer your questions. Okay, so now we come to the first 2 interview guests. So I'd like to introduce 2 members of the Visit Berlin team, which is Marco Oelschlegel, he's the Director Conventions, and Ralf Ostendorf, who's Director of Market Management. So, come on you 2, welcome.
Nice
Hello.
to meet you. Hello.
Ralf and Marco, hi.
Hi.
Nice to see you. So, could you, each of you, just in 2 or 3 2 or 3 sentences, explain to me what your departments do? So, conventions and market management.
So, the Berlin Convention Office is the department which looks after events, meetings, conventions. We promote Berlin as a destination for these events. Invite everybody to hold a national, international, local event here in our city and provide all information on this. Put you in contact with all partners.
Cool, thank you, Ralf. Market management?
In the market management, I always love to say our department is, we call ourselves the foreign ministry. So our job is to promote Berlin all over the world, spread the message that Berlin simply is the place to be, so working with travel trade, also with the media, with airlines, and all kind of different partners in our industry.
Great, thank you. You really did the 2 to 3 sentences bit. Very, very good. Okay, so now the big question, which you're probably already tired of, but how did Corona or how did the pandemic affect your business or your area of industry?
Well, of course, massively, but at the same time, of course, we learned a lot. We learned how to work with virtual events, virtual meetings, that kind of stuff. But we also learned how important it is in-person meeting, the person in a nice environment like Berlin, which inspires you, which gives you new ideas. And I think we've learned this is the core of human nature and also the core of our business. So we introduced or adapted our work on this as well. Integrated hybrid elements, but at the same time really promote on live events.
He's off?
Mm-hmm. We just heard that it wasn't loud enough, some things with your microphone, so unfortunately we have to do... and just say it again in 2 sentences.
Of course, the the pandemic really was a big problem and for us and for our industry, a catastrophe, to be honest. But at the same time, we learned a lot, and we also learned how important the core of our business is. Live events, meet in person. I think this is part of human nature, that we would like to meet in person, because then you meet new people, coincidentally as well, you get new ideas, and this is what we really would like to integrate into our work, to promote Berlin as a destination for live events. We've integrated, of course, the elements of hybrid events as well, but this is a core, and this is what we've learned, and this is what we concentrate on, and this is why it's so great to have this festival live downstairs here in Berlin.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll get an impression of the live event soon. Obviously, today is a bit part of a hybrid as well, but more live than online.
Best of both worlds.
Exactly, exactly. Ralf, do you want to say something about the last 1.5 years?
I think the biggest challenge that we've learned, or the biggest thing that we all experience, is that, for example, if you have a tsunami, it's local. If you have, like La Palma, the volcano, it's local. If you have a tornado, it's local. But what we experience now is that the whole world, full break from now to now. Simply everything stopped. And also for us, of course, it meant cash flow zero for our hotel partners, cash flow zero from one to another. So after the first shock, getting out of this situation and try to move on to discover what can we do to revive tourism. And we basically, in the beginning of 2020, still thought, okay, maybe by the end of the year we will be out of this. And now we're at the end of 2021, and we're still learning quite a lot. But hopefully now the silver lining is much brighter now for next year, even though right now the numbers still going up, not only in Germany, but many other places. But we shouldn't look at those numbers, shouldn't watch those numbers now. It's more important to really work on the restart of the tourism industry and the MICE industry. And again, as you said, we've learned a lot of things, and I think we all are ready, not only in Berlin, to really go, yeah, we do the next step.
Well, as a DJ, I'm very much on your page. I was really waiting for the clubs to open. Yes, so tell me more about what was your thought behind organizing festivals? So what was your purpose, or what was your intention to do that this year today?
I repeat myself, I mean, to bring people together, to enable personal meetings. And I think this is something what we wanted to do, to show that's possible, and also to set a sign in a way. Yes, now we would like to show you it's possible. We are well prepared for this, and secondly, of course, we wanted to do it in a Berlin-style way, in a way that it's not like a conference.
Is that why we started a bit later?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Berlin-style.
Berlin-style.
Sorry, just being late. Yeah. That was my joke about Berlin.
Okay. So sorry. But I can only underline this. I mean, it's really so important, and we've done it in a different way, I think.
Yes.
I also just want to add that through the pandemic, we all got this digital kick in the ass, meaning that before that we were always talking about, oh, let's do something more digital, more virtual, and we did. But another learning also is that now, after a while, you have this digital fatigue. You know, people are simply over-Zoomed, over-Teamed, over whatever. So turn off the camera, polish your fingernails in the meantime while having a meeting with your boss. And that has to change, you know. Hybrid is the next step, you know. But we have to get, at least in our industry, some industries it works quite well to do things virtual. You also, when it comes to sustainability, you always can think, do I need to fly for a 1-hour meeting from A to B? Can just skip that. In Glasgow, I just read they had some problems doing that, you know, flying 40 kilometers for something, or Mr. Okay, we're not talking politics. But again, we need those live events just to meet, because personal exchanges are much, much more valuable, at least in our industry, than doing things online.
It's about innovation as well,
yep.
And it's my strong belief that you can only be innovative if you're sitting next to each other, standing next to each other, and create new ideas in an environment like this. But it's really, I mean, it's maybe possible, but it's not as effective as in live if you do it online or something like this. And we are part of the innovation industry.
I mean, many people always, ask about, what will change, what will happen, will it come back to normal, will it ever, will it have a a long negative effect. But I want to ask it differently. So do you think, or what do you think the event and MICE and tourism industry should or can learn from the break we had, or should learn from what happened? So do you think there are any takeaways from the corona?
What is really important, what is really our core business, what is really the core of what we work on, what I said previous time, really the personal meeting, the personal exchange. I think this is what we've learned. And of course that there are always pushes or whatsoever situations which you couldn't foreseen, and you have to be flexible. And the way which we have been working before in a flexible way, agile way, I think this is the way to continue as well in these situations. You always adapt to what's coming and what is normality. I think there's not really a great definition of normality.
It has become a word in the last few weeks and months of describing what happened, what was the status quo before Corona, I guess. But it's questionable whether that was normality or not.
Because I think many of those developments had already started before. Hybrid wasn't an invention by the Corona pandemic area. It had started before, and many other things, home office, work-life balance, all those things. It's just an accelerator, I think.
I also think that we will see a lot of bounce-back effects, you know. Once windows open, once doors open, people will return to what they loved before. The challenge will be, do future generations also learn something from this? Because what we've learned now is also that generations don't learn from the past, you know, in many ways, not talking about politics again. So the challenge is on. The challenge is on. It's good to get out of the hamster wheel too, you know, to adapt, to rethink, to redo. And we're working on that. And Berlin is the place to be for that.
Great. Well, thank you very much, you two. And I'm very excited for what's happening down on the floor later, which you will see a little bit of. So yeah, thanks again.
Thank you, Annie, and looking forward to seeing you then.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, I'm DJing later. That's one of the reasons why I'm also
Hello to the online world. Live world is better.
Thank you. All right, now we come to our next guest. So, Callum, I would like to introduce Calum Di Lieto. He's from the UK. He's a journalist. He's the editor of CNIT magazine. He's a presenter and a speaker. Actually, later he will do a keynote speech on one of our live stages. But today, here in the studio, he's going to give you a shorter version of his talk of the title, How Can Events Save the World? Hello, Callum.
Hello.
And I'm going to leave the stage to you.
Thank you very much. So yes, I'm going to be talking about how events can save the world. And this is a subject that I'm particularly passionate about because events can save the world. You as event planners can actually make a difference. And I know that seems odd. I have conversations with people all the time that say, oh, you know, we're not saving lives, we're just putting on events. But actually, the decisions that you make really do have an incredible ripple effect. And those are the kind of things that I want to talk about. So I'm going to give you 5 ways that events can save the world. And the first is sustainability, quite obviously. Some of the decisions that have been made today at BESTIVAL in terms of venue, in terms of food, all of these things have been a real kind of tip of the hat to how you can make the right decisions to have really large impacts. Often people talk about flights being the issue. They say, oh, you know, traveling around the world, using aeroplanes, that's the issue and that's the thing that we need to address. But I think it's something like 2% of the world's carbon is down to the aeroplane. And there is so much more to consider. So yes, you can make decisions about using, you know, getting rid of single-use plastic, getting rid of straws, plastic straws, and, you know, thinking wisely about your signage and your badging. I condone those decisions and I think they need to be done. But there are bigger decisions that can be made. And it comes down to asking the right questions of your venues and destinations, right? Saying that you will not do an event if the venue isn't sustainable or isn't following best practice. And that in itself is going to cause much more reaction and therefore action for those venues that are substandard to up their game, because they don't want to be, stripped off of the pitch list. So I really would say that one of the key things that you have is the power of the question. If in your RFPs you're saying to people, what are your sustainability practices? That's instantly going to cause hotels, venues, destinations to reconsider what they currently do and try to up their game. So that's the first one. The second way that events can save the world is through their CSR practices. Now, when you do bring a conference of hundreds or even thousands of people to a destination, you are manipulating that many people, and being able to get them to get involved in the community in some way or another is a brilliant example of really impacting change. Many hands make light work of things, right? So if you want to build a school in an area and you've got 1,000 delegates that are all going to pick up just a single brick, suddenly you've made progress. And that is the kind of power that you have. You have the ability to steer an army of individuals in whichever direction you choose. So again, make the right choices. But it's not just about building schools, because I know sometimes that can not fit into the agenda. But there are things that can. I know that there's one task that people can do where they build artificial hands. It takes maybe 30 minutes, but you have almost a factory floor of delegates all doing good for children that have lost limbs in one way or another. And by the end of that conference, suddenly you have 1,000 artificial limbs that are going to change the lives of many children. That's just one example of some of the things that you can do. And I really do think it's just about kind of thinking a little bit more about that. And plus, fundraising. Just think about the fundraising that happens at awards and conferences and events. Just by getting each delegate to donate 10, 20 pounds to charity, suddenly you've made a massive impact financially to change whatever the agenda is of that charity. The other area of a way that you can save the world is through the jobs in the economy. People kind of underestimate how much impact bringing an event to a destination has, right? The example that I use, about 3 or 4 years ago, I went to Tanzania, and it was a beautiful luxury incentive trip. I was, going on safari drives and seeing some incredible wildlife. But throughout that entire journey, I was aware of the local jobs that were being used. You had the guide who was so canny and able to spot a leopard miles out, having these really experienced local individuals. And during COVID, I thought to myself, what are they doing now? And the answer is probably nothing. And they were stripped of those jobs. And it really kind of emphasized the fact that actually bringing our business to these destinations is giving people jobs. It's injecting those local economies with millions of pounds. And it's why tourism is such a key aspect of any government. That's why governments focus on tourism, because they know that it benefits the economy. And what the MICE industry does is bring lots of people to that destination. So really don't underestimate the impact your decisions have on economies themselves. But the fourth way that events can save the world is around knowledge. And COP26 right now is a perfect example of that. We're bringing world leaders from across the planet to come together to really make a change. And you know what? That's an event. There is an event planner behind that. And that's something that you need to consider. Because if you can bring the right people together to talk about the right subject in the right way, you can save the world. If you're bringing doctors together, they can cure a disease. If you're bringing lawyers together, they can impact new laws that are going to change human rights. Even if you're bringing technology experts together, they might invent something that is going to benefit mankind. And I think that's the real key, is don't underestimate what bringing people together actually is meant to do, right? It's meant to be a knowledge hub. It's meant to foster creativity and innovation and knowledge and put that melting pot together, and out comes change. So as an event planner, emphasize that when you're recruiting your delegates. Emphasize that when you're thinking about who you want to put on stage and what voices you want heard in the room. And more importantly, think about the format. I think we've realized now that conferences aren't just about content, it's about the networking. That's the key part of a live event. That's the bit that we all missed. So if you've got all these fantastic minds in a room, Don't keep them quiet, sitting, in chairs, watching the stage. Get them mixing, get them networking, get them exchanging ideas so that they can save the world, and by proxy, you are doing that. The final way that I would say that event planners can save the world is through diversity. And again, it comes down to the right decisions and the right questions. If you're asking the right questions in your RFPs and you're saying, right, well, what does your gender diversity look like? What does your racial diversity look like? You're going to force suppliers, you're going to force the supply chain to rethink their actions. But what's more, use diverse suppliers. Use the kind of individuals that you want to boost their businesses of. And why not? Because you've got that buying power, and you can really influence massive change by manipulating that buying power in the directions of businesses that maybe are owned by more diverse groups. So what I would say is to just point to that Spider-Man phrase from the old films is, with great power comes great responsibility. And event planners have great power. So use that wisely and save the world.
Callum, thank you. Wow, you were very, very perfect on time. Wow, well, there's someone's experience. Great. Thank you very much. We've got a question from the chat. So someone would like to know what the differences between the countries are right now. So in the UK, is the mice industry back to normal? Back to normal, we had that earlier, whatever the normal is it back to pre-corona business, or how was it different in the UK, for example, to Germany or the rest of Europe?
In the UK specifically, restrictions are pretty much lifted. There are no restrictions in terms of mice events in any way. Are things back to normal? I'm not sure. I don't think the industry will ever get back to normal, because I think everything has been reconsidered. So formats of events have been reconsidered. Delegates themselves need more of a reason to attend a live event. If there is that digital option, if there is a hybrid option, they've got to think, okay, what am I getting from traveling or making my way or taking time out of the office, for example, that I'm not going to get from the digital arm. So I think the absence of the virus is the normal, but the structure and innovation of the industry is a new normal.
Do you really think, that's just my personal question, do you really think that people will learn from this? Do you really think people will say, okay, I'm going to fly less now, or maybe that is not, this meeting is not necessary? That's just my own personal, what I'm wondering the whole time. Whether
See, the thing is, to be hyper skeptical, it might not be that they're, not attending live events for the most altruistic reasons. It might be just because they're being lazy. And I think that laziness is likely to carry through. There's a reluctance now for people to go to the office for 5 days a week. We were doing that before.
Yeah.
And it's because they can't be bothered to commute, or they've realized the benefits of being able to work from home and cut out that commute time. And it's the same for going to an event. Before, they were commuting to the office, and it was just changing that commute's direction into a live event. Now, they're staying at home, so you have to pull them off of their sofa to get them to a live event.
So the sales of jogging pants have gone up, I guess, in the pandemic.
Yeah.
All right, Callum, that's it for now. Thank you very much
Thank you so
taking
much.
your time. And yeah, have fun on the stage later.
Looking forward to it.
Cool. Take care. All right. Yes, so I'd like to, again, encourage you to ask questions in the chat. We only had one so far, so please go ahead. And we really appreciate that you took your time to tune in from wherever you are. And yeah, let's hope we can make it a little more lively now, because I'm gonna switch over to Inske. Inske is of Visit Berlin as well, and she's standing on the floor, and she will give you a little insight on what's happening live right now. Hallo Inske.
Hello, Annie, and hello, everybody in the digital room. Yes, I'm here and on the first floor of the Motorwerk. And yes, I like to show what is going on here. We have 2 different stages up here, and one of these stages is the interactive stage. It's behind me. And there will taking place the fishbowl discussions about mice topics. And we have 4 wonderful speakers, and the lecturer is Jürgen Lock from SCC Events, who organized already the Berlin Marathon and also 20 other huge events with more than 200,000 participants. And yeah, there will take place discussions about what impact Corona has of our events, what are the negative effects, and also what is positive. Another topic will be how will be the events looks like in 5 years. What are the mega trends? And another important subject will be how can we manage and organize our events more sustainable? What do we already, and what can we do in the future? Yeah, so really interesting discussions. One speaker is David Rietz. He is head of the ITB Berlin. And another speaker is Sabine Schwerda. And she's from the German Film Academy production. Yes, so we're looking forward to the different discussions in the fishbowl. And here I go 3 steps. No, I don't go to the steps because here are so many people around here. We have another stage, and this here is the pub stage, and here's taking place the Science Slam. Super interesting. We have 3, 4 really good speakers from different universities. They are all scientists. And one of them is, for example, Johannes. And one question is, which I found really interesting, would you some fries to go with fries? So I go a few steps around so that you can see more from the area. So here in the backwards you can see the science lab. It's already happened. And yeah, it's so cool to be here because it's a really good feeling, good mood. We are all happy to be here at Stake Place and to listen to the Science Slam. Yeah, and I would like to take over to Annie.
Okay, thank you, Inske. Thank you very much. Yeah, nice that people are actually engaging, and it looks very cozy and intimate. Thank you very much. Okay, I will take over again because we'll have our next interview guest.
Thank you.
So, we have someone who's a visionary, an activist, a future architect, and a sustainability expert. She's the former UN Youth Delegate on Sustainable Development and the current ambassador for the rights of future generations. Please welcome Rebecca Freitag. Hello. Oh, we should actually, I'm missing the clap.
Hi, Annie.
Hi, nice to have you here.
Thank you.
So, today, you're one of our speakers as well. And so what is the title of your talk you're holding on the stage?
Well, it was about the journey towards sustainability, basically. Yeah.
But was there a specific aspect to it or a specific focus?
Yeah, I mean, my babies are the Sustainable Development Goals, so of course they were like the basis, which is also the basis of all the things that we do. Like tourism has to use it. I mean, tourism has a direct and indirect influence on all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. But then, you know, I've been working so long with those goals, working with ministries and banks and universities, that I came to the conclusion there's something missing to really make this world work. And this is how I came to the conclusion that we also need to work on kind of our own attitude towards life, towards sustainability. And what I did today, I was like identifying 3 main areas where tourism can contribute to really make it faster towards that transformation. And in a way tourism should not anymore be the problem, because this is how tourism is actually being seen today. You know, when I was talking to friends about, okay, today I'm going to talk about sustainability and tourism, they're like, it's a paradox, right?
Yeah.
So how can we make the shift that tourism is no longer part of the problem, but becomes part of the solution, and is maybe even go beyond that and say it's a driver of sustainability change.
Wow, okay. So what are the main points that tourism can contribute?
Yeah, so I mean, these points are quite general, and then, I mean, I talked to an audience who is an expert. All of them are experts, so they have to come and find their own solutions themselves, but I can just give inspirations. So the 3 points are, the first one is global citizen identity, because once you feel as being a global citizen, you act and behave differently whatever you do. If you feel connected to other people in the world, you know that whatever you do here has an impact on them as well. The second element is how far can tourism actually contribute to getting a respectful relationship towards nature? Because I feel that, especially, I mean, I'm living in Berlin, and nature is, for me, is a park. But is that true nature? No. And then I see young people being in front of their screens all the time. Do they really know what nature is anymore? And then the question is, how can we protect and value something that we don't know, maybe? So how can tourism create that room where we can find that respectful relationship again, but at the same time, of course, being careful and protect nature, right? I think it's really hard. It's a balancing job, but still, it's hard. And then the third element, yeah, there were 3. The third one is about, I mean, during lockdown, I observed a trend that people were not able to travel outside, so they traveled inside. I saw a lot.
To the better or worse?
Maybe, but I saw a lot of people who were questioning like values and what am I supposed to do on this planet? Like, what is my task and so on. And I feel like, you know, getting back to those essential questions in life may help us as well continuing to sustainable future. So in how far can tourism give us the room of also, you know, reflect, calm down, recharge our batteries, you know, this change, this transformation we are in, oh my God, this will acquire so much energy and so much also like calmness that maybe tourism can help us here to get centered again, to get recharged. And maybe tourism also can provide us with a room that creates kind of future visions. Because we know that reality cannot continue like this, but we sometimes don't know where to go. And maybe, you know, a holiday or whatever, like traveling, can be a discovery journey towards that future vision.
Interesting, interesting, interesting. I'm just playing devil's advocate now because I find it very inspiring, but I have to say sometimes I'm a bit of a pessimist because when you say global citizens, I really enjoy that. But it more sounds to me that it applies to a personal attitude. But for example, meaning if you feel like a global citizen, it might also mean that you jet around a lot and you want to be, you know, going all over the world, for example. So doesn't that all have two sides, you know? Or the nature. I mean, nature, being in touch with nature is great, but some tourism is actually has nature, you know, uses nature as a touristic kind of destination, which then again is a bad thing.
Yeah.
So how can we turn it into?
It's true. Like both cases that you just spoke about, it's about like balancing it. Because I also like. I was also wondering so hard about that question. Okay, I mean, I've been traveling to distant places as well, and they gave me so much. Like it gave me so much of development as well. And how can we like keep this kind of also inner development, but then not harming the environment? In this case, so I'm currently also lecturing a sustainability course at a university, and at the end of the class, I was asking my students, what is your personal definition of sustainability?
Oh, good.
And then one girl raised her hand and she said, "Isn't it actually about being aware of everything, like having awareness or having being aware with everything?" And I was like, yeah, actually, that's kind of being sustainable. So what does it mean when traveling? It means travel in an awareness, like in an awareness state. So it means don't rush, like don't do the Mexico trip for just a week, but if you really need to go this far, maybe you stay for a couple of months in order to really make it worth it. This is how I see it
Interesting.
currently.
Super interesting. That's definitely a different definition than often, the kind of all or nothing. I mean, you could be aware and still do damage to nature, but at least it's probably a lot less likely that if you're aware and you're appreciating. I think appreciative. I think awareness may lead to appreciation, and appreciation probably leads to a less likelihood of destroying something.
This as well, yeah.
Yes,
Indeed.
Yeah, great. And so how does that translate? So how do you, for example, how have you decided to live in a way that you find in line with what you're fighting for, or what is important to you?
How that life look like?
Yeah, or like what does it mean? So what aspects of your life have you changed or adapted to being more sustainable or more aware?
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, because this is most of the time, like this question you got confronted with a lot. What about your personal lifestyle?
Exactly.
And then,
do you fly? Do you have a car? Stuff. No, I don't
like,
mean that. Yeah.
Okay, I go by bike. I'm vegan.
Of course. Yeah.
And then again, it's cool that you do that, but at the same time, we distract ourselves from these great leverage points that we can actually do. And in my point of view, these are the points where we really have to think about the structure and the system of the whole, actually. So not only thinking what can we do, what can we change, like little things that we can change ourselves within that wrong system, but rather, I don't know, when it comes to cities, it's more about how can we restructure cities so that we do not need to drive by car for so long or something. How could that look like for tourism? I don't know yet, but I'm happy to discuss.
Yeah, of course. Oh man, yeah, it's such a complex issue. I personally would like to, because as you realized, I naturally take kind of devil's advocate because I feel sometimes I admire activists and I admire people who have a passion for a certain, who want to change, who believe in the possibility of changing something. Because my question is, how do you not despair? How do you not despair at the, people who turn a blind eye, or politics not listening, or just how do you not despair? But where do you get your positive energy from?
I truly know that this change is possible because I also feel that people know something goes wrong. People know that something is not going right here. They have this inner gut feeling, and I see that more and more people have the courage to stand up and even in their business saying, okay, we should change something. So I recently met a friend, she's working for a big car company, who changed within her scope the product of going, like her product now is a circular product. And this is just what she has managed to do within her big company without the CEO saying it, but she convincing her supply chains and other employees. And, I think we have to go back to that feeling that we have much more power than we actually think. Like we're so bigger than we sometimes believe about ourselves. And let's get back to that feeling that we all can have a ripple effect in our own environment and do that change. And I've been into sustainability for 10 years now. I've seen so many people also fighting for it coming from so bad conditions, already suffering so much. They're especially actually women also from the global south. And whenever I'm like, I don't know how I should do it, I think about them and they give me so much courage that these are the ones also who keep me going, because we are all in this together, right? Like this is no ego shoot.
Wow, that's really inspirational. I feel your energy because, as I said, I'm often someone who's more like, I'm easy to have a more negative point of view. So that's great. And I mean, you've tasted a bit of politics, no? You've been in the political system.
Yeah.
So again, how? what's your view on that? I mean, what could be done, or do they do enough? Or I mean, they is like, you know, does the political system, is it actually interested in making a change, and what is needed to actually make a change?
Yeah, I think it's most of the time scratching the surface, what we see in politics. And this is why lately then also I got so frustrated in that system that I have turned more to companies that are truly willing to do that transformation. And I've been working with them a lot. That gives me more energy back. And I see that this, again, then has an effect also on the political system. But
Very clever, yeah. So actually,
you know, it's nothing, I mean, our whole society is nothing that we have to like put into different sectors. This is politics, this is economics, this is civil society. In the end, you know, we are all humans. We are a political being. We are somebody who's an employee. We are also a person who goes to election, hopefully. So this is, yeah, I mean, we have to kind of like do an impact on all levels.
great, yeah, that's a good view. All right, our time is running up. So is there anything else you want to say as a last, I don't know, takeaway for our guests who work in the events and tourism industry? So what's the maybe one takeaway, or the one thing you say, please think about that, and maybe you can implement that, and that will make a big difference?
It's basically my wish and also my belief that tourism should not be part of that problem anymore, but become not only part of the solution, but even a driver of sustainable development by really giving people the opportunities about the 3 elements that I talked about. Yeah.
Sorry, we actually have one more question in the chat. So, quite quickly, what would you do if you were chancellor?
If I was chancellor, I think I would. I think I would first of all create a circular system in our economy and also politics.
I'm super sorry. I asked you that, but I actually hear that we have to cancel now. Okay, we have to stay here with me. So we're actually switching to Inske. She's again on the live floor, and we heard that the live band is playing very soon. Where is she? Inske, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, great.
Hello, Annie.
Cool.
Can you see me?
Where's the band? Yes.
Hello, here's the band, and I am next to Felix.
Great.
Hello, everybody.
Hi. So when are you playing? Are you before gig or after gig or between gigs?
We are between gigs, and when are you playing again? In 5 minutes?
Yeah, so we have 5 minutes or less, I would say, because
perfect.
the 5 minutes already started. And I mean, like, it's so nice to be here on this great festival. Should we maybe talk about this car?
Yeah. Please, can you say me or tell us about more about the bully stage?
Yeah, so I'm a singer from a Berlin band. We're called Bird Dogs, and it's a cover band, party band. And last year during Corona, there were not many jobs, no jobs, so we came up with this idea because we were playing on a balcony, and so then some police officers came and they did not like it that we were playing there, and then they said, hey, why don't you? Because there were too many people coming, and then they said, like, why don't you get a pickup or something and just drive through the streets and playing for people? And this is how we came up with this idea, and now it became a T2, like a VW bus, normally a pickup. And so with some people from our network, we made this really nice stage here, and as you can see it here now. So whenever you plan a event, it can be tomorrow, just call us. We come with our stage bully. Like bully is and in Germany we call the VW buses, we call them bully. I don't know if it's somewhere else the same, but here in Germany. So yeah, give us a call. Right now in Berlin, maybe there will be more bullies. I hope so. Let's see.
Yeah, great. And they sound so good. I can. Yeah.
Cool, so
and I give back now to Annie.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Right, so there's one more thing we'd like to do. We'd like to give you a little poll. So we have a few questions for you in the chat for you, and we'd like you to vote on the questions. So the first question is, if you're planning an event in the near future. So there's maybe one more thing to explain. One of the questions says, what do you think about the 2G option? So 2G is a German expression which means that, that only vaccinated and recovered people are allowed to attend the event. So that excludes the option of only being tested. Okay, right, we've got the first results. So are you planning events in the next few months? Well, actually, that looks great. So over half of the people have responded that they are planning events in the next 4 months. Oh, that's great. Okay, so it doesn't look all too bad either. So is 2G an option for yes? Okay, so nearly 3/4 of people are happy with the 2G option, which is great because, well, we'll see where it goes, but it's probably soon gonna not only be an option, but probably the rule. And thank you for voting in those questions. Right, thank you for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed the interview guests. And I'm done here in the studio. This is the end of the interview of the studio situation. But we will show a few more pictures of the live event today. So thanks for tuning in, and hopefully see you again soon in Berlin or elsewhere. Thank you.